I thought I would do a video about each one of my previous projects, and it makes sense to start at the beginning. This was an end terrace in South London built around 1905. It was in a street of terraced houses, but there was a gap next door to mine to allow access to the allotments at the back. I had been living in North Brixton, a lovely basement flat, but with horrible kids upstairs, so I was looking for somewhere else to live. Planning applications started going in and the landlord didn't want to know. By then he'd got married and had kids. He wanted rid, so I bought it. While buying it, the planning permission had gone through, so then of course they needed a party wall agreement because they would have to put their foundations in place right up against my house. And for those who don't know, South London is built on yellow clay. You can literally make pots out of it. So my house, which was not the best built property, like so many late Victorian, early Edwardian terraces, was probably put up in a rush, built on a hill and on clay. Interestingly, I later found out while doing the renovations that the foundations were actually only 4 bricks deep. So the party wall agreement was done with proper structural surveys and strict rules about what they could and couldn't do. And the first thing they had to do was put in reinforced concrete rafts under the house to stop it subsiding. They started at the back, dug it out, poured in the concrete and left it for a week, and all seemed well. Then they came back and did the middle raft and the front at the same time. And I'm not kidding, the house moved 5 millimeters in a couple of weeks. The whole front corner of the house clearly shifted and took the adjacent walls with it. The builders next door had to have it fixed. I got a cash payment for the damage to the inside and agreement that they had to re-render it because they were chipping holes in it to put the wall ties in. At that point in my life I suffered a sudden and devastating bereavement and decided I no longer wanted to do my desk job. I would renovate the house. I don't have lots of photos before because we didn't have smartphones or Facebook. We just didn't photograph everything like we do now. So if you imagine a pre-First World War terrace that was very tired, heavy wear and tear, hairline cracks, even the beautiful original coving had moved, and it needed a complete makeover. This is the layout before I started. The plan was just a standard renovation. Back to brick, rewire, replumb, new windows. It had 3 chimneys, so I decided to leave the one in the lounge for a log burner, take out the one in the dining room and bedroom, and the huge 30cm deep one in the kitchen and bathroom. I knew I needed a new roof, so I put in a pre-application query about doing a loft extension because 2 of the houses further up the hill already had them. I got a really stroppy letter back from the head of planning telling me that she would vehemently oppose the application because they had to protect the architectural history of the area and in particular the London roof. For those of you who don't know, a London roof is basically upside down. The peaks are on the party wall rather than the middle, which causes all sorts of problems, particularly sagging ceiling joists. The front bedroom ceiling in this house was about 5 centimetres lower in the middle than the walls because of the weight of the roof on it. Infuriatingly, the people who bought it from me later got planning permission, replaced the roof and put in a loft extension within a year of buying it. Anyway, my plans. I applied for planning permission to take out the back wall of the kitchen and put in a 9 square metre extension, which in the UK is considered permitted development. I wanted mine to break one permitted development rule, that the extension cannot exceed half the width of the original house, and was advised to get full planning permission because it would make things easier with building control. The new thing at the time was inside-outside living, so I wanted to spend the extra money and get full-sized powder-coated bifold doors. I also had this DIY lean-to at the side, where somebody had put a roof on the wall between the kitchen and the boundary. The other big change was the way the house was laid out. You went in the front door and there was a long corridor straight through to the kitchen at the back, with the stairs cutting into the dining room. I wanted to put a downstairs toilet under the stairs, so I decided to move the whole staircase over to the right. I took everything back to brick, and took out the chimney breasts, which was made much easier because the roofers had chopped them down to ceiling level for me. I then got builders in to do the extension. They put in acro props to hold up the bathroom, and I took out all the yellow bricks and cleaned them so they could reuse them to face the outside of the extension, so it matched the original walls perfectly. We also took down the internal kitchen wall. That made having a bath fun for a while. I had very carefully ordered the back doors, the sloping roof and the end window. The guy who came wasn't the usual man who did quotes, but I was very clear and very precise with him. We had a long conversation about the sloping roof, and I know he wrote it down carefully and drew it. I left the old glass roof on until the new windows were ready, and the deal was that I would take down the old roof when they came to fit the new one. They arrived a week before Christmas, and the glass didn't fit. It turned out the manager back at the factory had decided the guy who did the quote must have been wrong. He thought I must have wanted a flat roof, and it had all been a mistake. By that point, of course, I had no roof on that part of the kitchen a week before Christmas. After a huge row on the phone, they sent 2 jobbing joiners down with a load of hardboard and boarded the roof out as a temporary measure. But it then took 3 months to get the new windows delivered because they had to be made from scratch. It was absolute hell. And of course, it completely held up the development because I couldn't have that wall plastered or the kitchen installed, as the roof wasn't that watertight. In the meantime, we took out the staircase. Bear in mind I'm living in this. You definitely don't want to come home drunk, as the bedroom was at the front and the bathroom was at the back. I had a joiner who hand-built the new staircase against the right-hand party wall. This meant I could put a guest toilet under the stairs and run the waste under the floor. The old kitchen floor was concrete, so I'd had to have that knocked out for the extension anyway, and we ran new waste pipes across under the new screed floor. I took out all the floors and replaced the old boards upstairs with green board. Downstairs I pressure fitted 100mm insulation and put in underfloor heating. Then we put in beautiful 22mm engineered oak flooring. The one thing that wasn't on the plans was the bathroom. It had been huge and had undoubtedly been a bedroom before bathrooms came inside. I thought about putting in an ultra-luxury bathroom, with a clawfoot bath under the window and a big walk-in shower. But then I stopped, thought I better double check on myself and spoke to an estate agent. I simply asked, what will add more value, a huge luxury bathroom or a single small bedroom? I got a very straight answer, which was a 3rd bedroom, even if it's single, even if it's just an office. So I sat down and very carefully worked out the plans and the dimensions. I put up the thinnest stud wall I could get away with and designed a beautiful bathroom, including an extra long bath, which left a corridor and a single bedroom at the back. When I came to fit it all out to sell, it turned out that the bedroom was an inch shorter than a standard single bed, so I just built a single bed in place. Realistically, it was only ever going to be an office or a kid's bedroom. It still makes me laugh looking at the estate agent photos, because if you look carefully at the kitchen, the kickboards hadn't been put on, and in the bathroom the grouting hadn't been finished. That was because I rang the estate agent and said, I'm nearly there, floors are down, few bits left, how's the market looking? And he said, get it on the market. Pay people to finish the floors, pay people to decorate, pay to get it done. He said, I guarantee you will make more selling it as soon as possible and pay for the cost of having it done rather than letting it drag on for another 6 months. The market is going to drop. So, for once, I did what I'm told. I got a decorator in who did a lovely job. I got somebody to finish the flooring while I did the finishing touches, finished it and put the curtains up, everything to get it on the market. And it sold in a month for nearly £200,000 more than I'd expected. The pain was worth it all in the end, but what you don't see in the photos is how hard it is to live in this day to day. Months with no kitchen, long period with no bathroom, the roof that didn't fit. Living in that for 3 months with no kitchen roof was absolutely horrendous. And of course at one point I had no staircase. It's not just physically hard, it wears you down emotionally. Living inside that level of chaos for that long is something people really